I've actually got a major crush on Asim. He's a man crush guy for me.
Hello and welcome to Off Script by Hey Radio. My name's Josh Nesbitt and I run a software consultancy based in Leeds. For the second episode of Off Script, I sit down with Harry Roberts, a front-end architect and performance engineer. I also run All Day Hey with Harry, so the theme for this episode is running a conference. In this episode, we talk through what it takes to put on a conference and kind of how we got there. So that's enough for me. Enjoy the episode. So I'm sat here with Harry Roberts.
Yo, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
All good. Cooling down after that onslaught in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, so me and Harry have known each other for, I think it's 8 years now, maybe a bit longer.
Possibly longer, 8-9 years.
Yeah, so this is only the second time you've ever cooked for me, which is crazy.
Yeah, stunning. For two massive foodies who spend a lot of time together, It's mad that you've only cooked for me once though, which is worse because you're a better cook than me. Well,
I wouldn't say that, but we need to fix that, I feel.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I'm sat in Harry's kitchen, and really the kind of the theme for this one is running a conference.
Which we do, don't we? We do that.
Yeah, we're coming into our 4th year of running a conference together.
Jeez.
Which is kind of mad, really, because I think when I first mentioned it to you, we were both in a similar mindset, but I didn't think we'd be here 4 years later, still cracking on.
No, it's been great. I mean, we're both kind of, for different reasons, involved in the conference scene, but when we got approached, or when you got approached to run one and then in turn approached me, I don't think we realised what it was going to become and just how much we'd enjoy it and get invested in it, I guess.
No, yeah. So the conference kind of started between me and you. So I ran an event called Hey, and then in 2017, Leeds International Festival got in touch and said, "How do you feel about this?" And I came to you and I said, "I'm interested in doing this, but I kind of want to collaborate with someone." And obviously you're on the conference circuit, so it made sense, really.
Yeah, we cover both sides of it pretty well, don't we? You as a conference organizer, me as a conference speaker, so a dream team.
Yeah, I think knowing both sides pretty helps quite a lot, I think. So
yeah,
pretty chuffed.
And as we just worked out as well, which I'd forgotten, the Hey event that you run, I'd forgotten that way back when. Was it like 2014 maybe?
2013.
2013, I was your first ever speaker.
Yeah, I think it was June 2013. I think we've known each other for a year or maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, it would have been a tiny bit longer, but
I think I was just like, "Hey, do you want to come and speak at this thing that I'm doing at the Faversham?"
That would have been one of my first ever talks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
It would have been really early in the speaking career for me. I could work it out actually, but
that's weird.
I reckon it was in the first 10. I reckon.
I kind of had a feeling you'd been talking a lot longer then, but I guess it's just I was just like, well, he'll come and speak at my small little event, and we'll see how we get on, really. And yeah, who would have known back then we'd end up doing a conference together?
Yeah. It's it looks like it was in the first 15 at least, but yeah.
Well, honoured, absolutely honoured. So for those that don't know you, do you want to just kind of maybe just talk a little bit about Seven?
It was the 7th conference, 7th thing I ever spoke at was your event.
That's nuts. I had no idea that was that
7. Jeez.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was kind of, I remember on the lineup it was you, Andrew Nesbitt, and I think it was me as well.
Was it Dom and Ed? From Dom and Ed.
Oh, maybe it was Fastly, yeah. But they weren't Fastly at that point.
Resource.
It was Resource, Resource, and obviously they sold later to Fastly.
Man, that's been a bit of an adventure for them, hasn't it?
I know, yeah, absolute blast from the past. Yeah. But we'll talk about them another time. This is about you. So do you mind just kind of, for those that don't know who you are, just giving a bit of a summary of how you got here?
Yeah. I guess web developer by trade, but for the last 6 years now, been self-employed. Specialised a lot in sort of front end, mainly CSS architecture, design systems. But the last 2, maybe 3 years now, I've very deliberately focused on front end performance. So faster applications, all sort of happening basically between the server and the user's eyeballs. All of that realm, I focus on optimizing that on a fairly consultancy basis.
Yep.
I think we met each other through just mutual web developer pals in Leeds, I guess, didn't we? So
yeah, I think you said it was Jamie Mason, who I used to work with at Crisp Thinking back in the day.
Back in the day, and we've collaborated on a couple of things together, which has been good.
Yeah. I think we've both hung out and worked on stuff, which has been quite a good mix.
Pretty decent, eh?
Indeed. So why more of the performance side? Why did you kind of specialize?
After several years of CSS architecture,
Yep.
It reached a certain maturity. The landscape started changing. So just for me, it was kind of I'd done a lot of it, and I wasn't getting bored of it. That's not the right phrasing, but I would say that it was something I was getting very comfortable with. Alongside that, I'd been doing a lot of performance work, sort of incidentally for clients. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Found it fascinating, and it's also a little more, especially as a self-employed developer.
Yeah.
Focusing on things like performance is a bit better for business, if I'm honest. It's a very visionary client that will sign off a design systems project because they're looking 2 to 5 years down the line. A web performance project, it's immediate returns. So it's quite an interesting proposition from a self-employed developer's point of view.
Yeah.
From a business point of view, it makes a lot of sense for me. It's typically higher value projects with more immediacy and more business buy-in, I guess.
So some of the recent clients you've worked with, just for the record?
Well, the most recent that people might be familiar with was Vitamix, the fancy blender company. You'll notice they may have slung me a freebie sat in the kitchen
in the corner of your kitchen right now.
Vitamix worked with them late last year. That's probably the most pertinent performance client.
Yeah.
And they were just wonderful. Did some really incredible work together. Great team based out in Cleveland, Ohio. So yeah, went out there, hung out with those folk and did some really good work. Nice. That was a really fascinating client because we could tie things very closely to their own KPIs. So, how does the load time of a specific image affect bounce rate, right? When you're looking at the recipe pages, do we get greater engagement on the recipes if the hero image loads sooner?
Yeah.
We can measure that forensically and prove that, yes, if we can get it to load within half a second, bounce rate is at its lowest. So that's kind of stuff we focused on, and it was tons of fun. But beyond that, I do actually tend to, very, very fortunate, tend to work with quite a lot of household names. So Google's a client, BBC iPlayer, worked on the iPlayer web app, making that faster. So yeah, very, very fortunate. Worked with some pretty interesting people, all with different kind of problems as well. So excuse me, whether that's in the e-commerce space or entertainment. For my sins, done quite a lot of work in the betting and gaming industry. Yeah, because they're really keen on performance. So yeah, a nice healthy variety, I guess.
And alongside that, you obviously speak at conferences as well.
So a lot of my day-to-day work leads to research, first-hand research, a lot of thought pieces, open source, etc. And that's lent itself well to more of a hobby. I wouldn't say it's part of my job. It's more of a thing that I really enjoy is speaking at conferences. Yeah. Which I guess is another part of our involvement in All Day Hair, I guess, isn't it? Yeah,
I think I can't remember how we first started talking about it. So I think we were talking about that kind of conference idea. I think we were knocking it around a little bit for a while, maybe.
I think I'm almost certain that we had probably even just over a pint at some point mentioned, wouldn't it be cool? And then I think when the LIF sort of thing presented itself, it was a case of, well, yeah, here's the chance.
Yeah, I think it was like, hey Harry, someone wants to back us on this, and then we were like, well, we can't really see a good reason not to.
Yeah, and that's someone. Excuse me, for anyone. LIF, Leeds International Festival, LIF, the organisation under which All Day Hay sits. Yeah, would have been daft to turn that down, wouldn't we? Really, we get a lot of great support from them. Dare I say, it's just a great safety net. We get support, both kind of. Well, financially and sort of support, kind of, I don't know, moral support to an extent.
Organisationally, I guess, in a way. Yeah.
Logistical stuff to an extent. And it just allows us to focus on running a really, really great event.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just chatting to Martin Dixon, actually, who is marketing manager for the bid before I came here. And we're one of the we're actually the only original event from when the festival started 4 years ago.
OG LIF.
So yeah, we're OG.
We're the only ones that have weathered the 4-year storm. Check us out.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because back in when LIF started, there was a friend of ours called Natasha Saysalem, kind of got in touch with us and just said, this LIF thing's going on. I'm helping curate the first version of this festival. Do you want to get involved? And we were like, well, yeah, that sounds good. Obviously, we thought it through a little bit.
Yeah, about 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was about 8 minutes. And then a few years down the line, we've kind of knocked things around and perfected it a little bit. If I dare say perfected, maybe that's not the right word.
Well, no, we've honed it, right? Because I mean, with our combined previous experience, like you running regular meetups.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It's a bit more than the meetup, isn't it? 'Cause they're quite large scale events that you run. And me speaking at so many events, I don't think we really ever struggled, right?
No.
We never found it. There were no really surprises. We knew what the formula was.
Yeah.
We knew how to run an event. So I think we've honed it in the last 4 years. We've sort of refined things, and I think it's completely fair to say it's a very low budget event. We don't have a lot of cash to play with. We're grateful for every penny we get, but we try and maximize everything we can and really focus on hosting and showing people Leeds, I guess. That's something we're really passionate about because it is number one best city in the world.
It is indeed. I think we're both ambassadors of that.
Absolutely.
I think it was kind of one of those things where we sat down and we're like, well, you know how you want to be treated as a speaker, and you know exactly how you want the kind of day to go for you. And I certainly know how I want attendees to feel when they're sitting in the audience. So I guess together we kind of banged our heads together and came to the conclusion that the event as it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do strike a perfect balance. I don't take on any of the operational stuff. I don't do any of the venue scouting, booking venues, sorting AV, that stuff that I wouldn't even know where to start. And luckily you're incredibly well versed in that. Conversely, I got loads of pals who are speakers and I'm just like, hey, can you come and do me a favour and speak in Leeds? And nearly all of them, everyone says yes unless they've got, calendar clashes. Yeah. So people put a lot of faith in us, but I dare say we deliver. I think we do a good job.
It's not that easy for me just to reach out to some of the contacts that you've obviously met along the way, and it's kind of great just being able to have a direct line to people that you really trust and you love hearing speak. So
that's a really good point. Actually, it's the trust, isn't it? Because we want to put on a good quality event. Yeah. And a lot of conferences try and have CFP only or invite only first-time speakers, and that's fantastic. That's great for the industry. But I think for the kind of what we're trying to do is deliver people that we know to be incredibly good speakers, either insightful or entertaining, or usually both, but at a great value. Yeah. And me having a line into these very esteemed people, it's just great that a lot of them will be like, hey, Harry, do you know what? You don't have a budget to pay us, but we know you. We like the sound of it. We'll chip in. And we couldn't run it. It just wouldn't work without them, would it?
No, absolutely. And on the opposite side of that, we do have the opportunity for people who are new to speaking or maybe aren't on the circuit to come and speak. We have the Lightning Speakers slot, which we have 3 slots every year. Yeah.
Confession. This is my fault. When Josh booked the venue and we had X amount of hours of venue available. It's a commercial cinema, right? So we get kicked out when they need to start playing. I don't know, Fast and Furious 92. And then I just kind of made a bit of a mess of the schedule and realised we had quite a lot of time left to fill. I was like, oh no. So we had the idea, well, in the middle of the day, let's invite 3 people who've either maybe never spoken before or never had a chance to speak at something quite so large. And we have 3 10-minute slots for lightning speakers. And that's always proved fascinating because we don't ever put them on the bill, right? So no one ever knows what they're about to talk about.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be tech-based either. It could be anything.
We've had PTs on stage. We've had people talking about how they use Scrum and Kanban to manage sort of mental illnesses.
Yeah.
We've had people talking about organising meetups, and it's always a good surprise for you and I as well because we give them complete free rein, right? You got 10 minutes to talk about whatever you want, and then I guess our pal Ryan. Yeah. In fact, Ryan, shout out to Ryan Townsend. He'd never ever spoken before, and I approached him like, "Hey Ryan, do you fancy doing your first ever talk?" And he was like, "Yeah, when?" I was like, well, next week. And this is on, I think, a Friday, maybe a Thursday, Friday afternoon. I was like, yeah, it's next week. Could you have a talk ready for this time next week? And he did. He wrote a talk, delivered an amazing talk, and now he's got a speaking career all over the world, hasn't he? He's been around a bit.
Yeah, I quite like that. I mean, similar to the Hay events, I like giving someone a stage that could launch a career or could launch a hobby of theirs, really. I think it was off the back of Ryan, actually. We got Chris the following year, who is now your PT, actually.
Yeah. Chris, if you're listening, what I just cooked Josh was a lovely healthy salad, some lightly grilled fish, and we drank water.
Yeah, there was no duck fat involved whatsoever at all.
No goose fat roast potatoes, no honey roast carrots, definitely no fatty duck breasts.
But Chris did do a fantastic talk, also on mental health that time,
talk.
Which is funny actually because it was not funny, but it's quite interesting to hear someone outside technology kind of have a very similar experience with mental health and talk about it in the same way that we do inside the industry, really.
What I found really, really amazing about Chris's talk, and we'll put it in the show notes, it's 10 minutes and it's absolutely worth your time.
Yeah.
Just how thoroughly researched it was. This guy's never worked in tech, but he did all the research. It was all citable research. It was all factual studies, all backed up by the numbers.
Yeah.
And he specifically researched the state of mental health in tech, and then tailored a talk to an entire audience of people he'd never interfaced with before.
Which is an amazing effort, considering he's not really someone who would have normally got on stage and delivered a talk like he did.
And he was hilarious.
Yeah,
he's a sweetheart. Yeah, he's been training me since about June now. And I can't get enough of it. He's great.
So I think that's the nice thing, we can help people who want to get into a speaking career kind of get on that ladder, I guess, in that way.
And as well, I mean, I've spoken at over 100 events now, but my first ever speaking gig was offered to me by Front Trends, incredible conference in Warsaw.
Right.
I'd had no speaking experience at all, ever. And the end of 2011, they emailed me, "Hey, Harry, we've read your blog for years. How do you fancy giving a talk?" And I was like, absolutely not. Who does that? No one wants to get on stage and give a talk. After about a week or maybe two, I deliberated and chatted it through with pals, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it. I've never spoken before, but if I hate it, at least I know I hate it and I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, they completely, I was in front of 470 people, they completely put their trust in me.
Yeah.
I've never given a talk before.
Was that off the back of the blog at the time then? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. It was purely and simply from blogging and probably open source work.
Yeah.
They were like, look, we know you know your stuff.
Yeah.
You've never delivered it in a talk format, but we'll fly you out to Warsaw. Funny story, actually. Jamie Mason, who we mentioned at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Front Trends offered me a +1 ticket.
Right.
And I didn't have like a partner at the time, so I was like, "Oh, Jamie, do you want to come with me?" So I took my pal Jamie, but of course your +1 is assumed a partner, so we had to share a hotel room for that.
Getting cozy with him.
And it led to quite a few high-profile people in the industry believing for a good couple of years that me and Jamie were a full-on couple.
Oh, right.
I don't think he was ever into the idea, but I was warm to it.
You just went along with it for a while.
Yeah.
So let's just draw it back to the festival for a minute, because I feel like we should give them a bit more of a mention based on the fact that they have bootstrapped the conference with us, really.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's its 4th year, and they've been really supportive of us. Basically, we just kind of send a kind of initial budget over of what we're thinking about, and they kind of just trust us to run it, really, which is amazing. I think that sort of autonomy is not to be ignored.
I think it's Gemma, who we work with, she doesn't let us get away with anything, right? So she's very shrewd and she's very on it.
Absolutely.
Which is great, 'cause it keeps us in check.
Yes.
But as soon as we can justify anything, she's like, look, we trust you, we just need to know what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
So that mutual kind of trust, that mutual, they give us autonomy. And it just means that, we can send over obviously accountable, but, initial budgets, get them yay or nay, and then we can just crack on and get to work.
Yeah, I mean, rightly so. It's their cash, so we should probably justify that properly.
They need to know where it's going.
Exactly. But no, so because of that, I think we've managed to put on some really good events over the last few years. I think our favourite part is always, one of the favourite parts is the speaker dinner. Yeah,
I mean, so it's customary. I think I'd say 75% of the conferences I've spoken at, it's customary that you get your speakers dinner, right? Everyone goes and meets each other before the big day, and all the speakers can get to get to know who they're speaking alongside.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we don't have the budget to pay full speaker fees, because of that, we go all out on the speakers dinner, which I know you and I take very seriously. Shout out to Ox Club.
Yeah,
for taking care of our speakers.
They've been fantastic. I think it was around the first conference we said basically, look, they're going to come over here and they're going to really kind of trust us to put on a really good conference for them. So the least we can do is feed them and maybe get them slightly tipsy, possibly.
I mean, the food and drink scene in Leeds. I mean, it's Leeds International Festival. The whole point is we want to get people into this city. One of the strongest things Leeds has got is its food and drink scene.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to be ambassadors for the city, really, in the way that we want everyone to know how good Leeds is, and the way to do that is to show them some of the best places in Leeds.
Lead by example. The other nice thing about Leeds is, genuinely, it's got the nicest hospitality staff.
Yeah.
So what happens is you go for your speaker's dinner, and the staff at Ox Club genuinely are there to make sure we have a ball of a time, right? They're not just, we've got this corporate group in or whatever. It's like, hey, look, everyone, here's what you're eating. Let's design you a menu just for this evening.
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing, right? I still can't forget the moment Jeremy Keith just picked up that beef rib and started gnawing it in the middle of the table.
I think Jeremy Keith said it was the best speaker's dinner on the circuit, and he's no stranger to a speaker's dinner. So
I've heard
high
that.
praise indeed.
It's also worth noting that the speaker dinner is not paid out of the bid money. I want to be very clear about that.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer.
And we don't mind it because we get to eat there as well.
Well, we're just so grateful that they've given us, the speakers have given us their time and it's a good 3, 4, maybe 5 days out of their schedule to come and speak at the conference. So it's the least we can do, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, we I don't know, you and I, we like similar things and we like looking after people, I guess. And that sounds very grandiose to say about yourself, but we understand that we are hosting people, right? We're inviting people to our city.
Absolutely.
We don't just leave them to don't fend for themselves. And
so it feels like a good time to actually mention what goes down on the day. So as you alluded to earlier, I'm mostly event logistics and you are more speaker logistics and client entertainment, should we say?
Yes. Well, what happens on the day is Josh gets up around probably 4:30 a.m. I get up about 5 hours after that, go and meet the speakers and walk them to the venue, which miraculously is all set up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so like let's walk through a bit more because my day isn't as interesting. So I get up, I get to every man. We start loading at about 6 a.m. with Adlib, who are the fantastic AV technicians.
That's so good.
They're so good and they're so professional. They just kind of get on with it. They don't really ask any questions. They just know what you need and they just crack on. So as you said, by the time that you arrive with the speakers for tech tests at about ideally around 8 a.m. It'll be kind of, everyone will feel pretty comfortable and relaxed and there's no stress and hopefully it's just a case of testing things.
Yeah. Another good thing we've got is that by virtue of who we're inviting to speak, they're all absolute professionals. So there's very little hand-holding. You can just trust the speakers to arrive the break before their talk, do a tech test. What's nice is when the speakers start arriving at the same time as the attendees, and there's that buzz as everyone funnels into the venue. The day itself is such plain sailing. Well, I mean, you know who we need to mention now. The reason the day is such plain sailing. Yeah. Oh, Phil Hawksworth.
Oh God, what a babe.
Yeah.
He is an absolute hero, and he's been with us on this journey since the first day, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm beginning to suspect he only does it for the food.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
If that's what we have to do to keep him coming back, then I'll keep doing that all day long.
What a sweetheart. Yeah, Phil's great. He so Josh and I, we're kind of, I wouldn't even say the face of the event. We run it, we organise it. We don't pay for any of it. And then Phil comes and actually hosts it all. So we just put our feet up. No, but Phil's been with us, like you say, since day dot. And Phil's one of the most thoughtful, diligent and considerate MCs I've ever seen.
Absolutely, yeah.
He genuinely listens to talks. And
when you're speaking to him, he has so many, he makes so many notes in his little notebook, and he just gets it spot on stage. Yeah,
and also, I mean, he is in his sort of spare time stand-up comedian, so he's
help, doesn't it?
Also brings the lulls.
Yeah, I think for that reason, I never want to be on the same stage at once with him, just in case. Not that he would ever target me, but. So yeah, Phil's been with us since day one, and he very kindly said he'd come back this year, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, can't wait to see him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then the day itself, just like I say, it runs itself because we've got absolute badass speakers on stage.
Yeah.
They're normally all relatively technical speakers, but we do like to tease different bits of creative stuff in there.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of a surprise for everyone this year.
I was going to say this is actually going to go out after we've done the announcement.
After the event.
So if you want to mention who we've got at this year's conference, that'd be amazing.
I don't know if I dare say it. I've not said it out loud yet.
I know. I've kept it quite quiet too.
Should we do it?
Let's go. All right. Should we run down? Okay. So we have Phil emceeing.
Phil's emceeing.
Yep. So who we got first up?
We're doing it in order.
We don't have to.
Yeah. So
really test you.
So by the time this podcast goes out, 100% of people have been announced.
Everyone will be announced.
All right, well, we've got Vitaly Friedman. Huge news.
So
him and his 1 million followers coming to join us in Leeds. Vitaly.
Hopefully not, because we only have 230 tickets, so I really hope not.
Yeah. So Vitaly's going to join us. He is the co-founder of Smashing Magazine. Probably the publication for digital professionals, I guess, or certainly web development professionals. We got... Simona Cottin, who is she is super smart and incredibly engaging speaker. We've got Ellie Schutz, who is going to be speaking about internationalization. Ellie is just a bunch of fun, so looking forward to seeing her.
Yeah.
My pal Asim. You've not met Asim yet, have you?
I'm so excited to meet. See, this is the thing, right? This is how it works. So you come back to me and you're like, "Oh, we've got the best lineup. I can't wait." And you tell me all these stories of these people that you've met while speaking at events, and you've met, while traveling and stuff. And I'm like, they sound great, but until I meet them, I can't really,
Yeah,
and obviously
you've got no idea really what they're like.
Yeah, and obviously they're all absolutely charming and professional and amazing, and yeah. So
I've actually got a major crush on Asim. He's a man crush guy for me. The first time I met Asim, I don't think we ever once talked about work. We just, he instantly just pals with someone.
Yeah.
So we get to see each other a few times a year, so I'm really excited to have him with us.
Asim's talk's really cool as well, because that ties into the festival theme quite well, actually, because he's talking about green versus grey code and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Very future friendly, looking at the environmental impact, which should be on everyone's minds at the moment. So that's gonna be a great talk. Yeah. We got Charlotte Dan, who you and I both met for the first time at the same time, and her talk was nuts.
Oh man, so we met Charlotte at FFConf 2019.
Yeah, Remy's event, Remy Shop.
And that was, we saw Charlotte, and she just blew us away with so many cool applications for her creative kind of mind. And I think we were just we messaged each other there and then. We're like, we have to get Charlotte to come and speak.
I remember that. And then she tweeted this the other day. She was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I left my kiln on 1,000 degrees C for a week, and it's turned the carbon crucible to dust." I was like, man, that's a hell of an office problem. Yeah. My biggest office problem would be, I forgot to put my battery on charge for my mouse.
Or I left the printer on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... so yeah, that's not things that you ever hear programmers say, is it really?
Yeah, and then finally, the one that's going to be, most left field. Obviously, all of our speakers are incredible, but I think the last speaker is just quite different to, I think, what anyone would normally expect.
Yeah, so we usually try and end the day on a bit of a thought piece. And in the past, we've had some really awesome... Alberta was a really, really great...
Just poignant and quite somber.
Yeah, she did a fantastic talk on, what happens... What's your digital afterlife like? So, what happens when you die, and what do you leave behind? And really okay, it might be slightly somber, but it's quite an important conversation to be having. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this year, who do we have, Harry?
We got my pal Mr. Bingo, which is going to be great. Me and Bingo met 2018 maybe in Berlin, and again just instant pals.
Was that Beyond Tellerrand or no?
It wasn't. It was the awards event in Berlin, which I was a complete fish out of water. I was by far the most technical guy in the lineup, and I'm not particularly technical, right? As in, I'm front-end performance. I'm not deep in the weeds, heavy JavaScript or anything. So I was complete fish out of water. And the person I gelled with the most and the most immediately was Mr. Bingo. He is incredibly down-to-earth for a guy who has such a big kind of presence and such a big... I don't know. I just was completely stunned by just what a lovely chap he was. And we became pals. And then I think a few bottles of wine into our evening in Paris, you and I, when we went for a little work trip to Paris, after a very good bottle of wine, it was like, it'd be cool to get for all day, hey, Bingo. And I was like, oh my God, Bingo. And I sent him a message from the dinner table, and he replied immediately like, yep, let's do it. Yeah, and I'm so grateful. I can't wait for this.
Well, the thing is with Bingo is that I kind of knew about Bingo and his art a long time before I ever met him. I met him at a Glug event, actually. A Glug event in Leeds quite a few years ago. And obviously, his presentation style is just so cool and so well delivered. So when that was a yes, I think I had a little fanboy moment, and I was super happy about that. So yeah, what a lineup!
Can't wait, absolutely can't wait. And well, I guess as we are recording a podcast, even we don't know what some of the talks are going to be. So we're still waiting on a couple of talks from people who we've not approached them yet, or we've told them you got a while to decide. There's no rush. So Bingo, we don't know what he's going to speak about yet. Yeah. I'm sure even if he just did a 45-minute Q&A or just freestyled anything for 45 minutes, it'll be a treat, because I think it'll be a really great way to close the event. Absolutely, and I think it's always nice to close on something that makes people think a bit more. And I mean, obviously the really deep technical topics are really important, and people need to learn. And that's mainly why people are there, right? For the technical stuff. Exactly. In fact, I'm going to give a shout out. Really good friend of mine, Mark Thieler, runs the Beyond Tellerand events, and I got mainly the idea to have this kind of more philosophical or more creative closing talk from him. Now, he does it a little differently. He does an evening session, so we wrap up the conference, go out for dinner, come back and watch an evening thing with the kind of, not necessarily headline speaker, he doesn't do things like that, but the idea of closing the event on a slightly more thoughtful piece or creative, for want of a better word, stole that straight from Mark, and it works well, right?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's also, people have been sitting down for a long time, and it's not that another technical talk will be too much, but it's always nice just to kind of go, right, well, let's just think about the bigger picture here, and then let's kind of for those that want to kind of go for a drink after and kind of discuss further.
Also, I think there's an aspect of, and this is subjective and quite personal to me, I really like when you attend an event, you've only got so much choice about what you're going to see, right?
Yeah,
so you might pick a conference thinking, well, I know 35% of the speakers or whatever. That remaining 65% is going to be stuff that you wouldn't have thought to go and see.
Yeah.
And that's a real treat sometimes. It's like, oh my goodness, I would have never picked this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it turns out I love it.
Yeah.
And stuff you don't know, you don't expect, or you don't know you're going to love it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, some people pick out things like, React-based talks and the things that they want to learn generally more about. And obviously at frameworks like that move so fast, it's good to have those kind of talks. But equally, definitely the kind of, I don't want to say general, but kind of more broader topics are always quite interesting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So it might be worth mentioning very quickly the after party. So we have the after party after the conference.
Mm-hmm.
It's always nice for us because it's kind of like, cool, that's over. I accidentally said it at a speaker dinner last year. I was like, so we'll get the conference out of the way with, and we'll go for a drink after.
You did.
And I totally didn't mean that.
Minor inconvenience.
Yeah, but it is always nice to kind of look back on a successful event and kind of, if the speakers feel happy to do so, they can kind of meet some of the attendees and everyone can just have a bit of a chat and a wind down, which is nice.
And the speakers always come along.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that's another reason I picked the lineup mainly based on, well, not mainly, I'll take that back immediately. A large part of my curation process is, are all these people going to get along with each other?
Yeah.
Are they outgoing? Because it does add to that entire feeling of the event.
Yeah.
When you see it all the time after parties and none of the speakers bother turning up, it feels a bit like us versus them.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone that we've had historically, and hopefully continues to be that way, everyone we've had in All Day Hey, they love to pitch in, roll their sleeves up. Everyone always attends the dinner. Everyone always goes to the after party. Because it is just like, they either are friends already, or they are friends of friends, or they're going to become friends because of the nature of who they all are.
Yeah,
it's really great to see.
Well, I mean, I met Remy, and then me and Remy got chatting, and he's like, "Got to come to FFConf."
Yeah.
I don't think he was just trying to flog me a ticket either. I think it was a bit more than that.
I think it was genuine.
I do too.
Yeah, Remy's an angel.
No, of course, and I think that's always the nice thing. Everyone kind of gets on really well, and it's always a nice vibe, isn't it?
Oh, and the after party is in a cracking venue as well.
Oh yeah,
so that's always nice.
Yeah, so we do it at Header House, which is where Oxclub's based in. We've actually got Redonda Beach this year, which is fantastic. So it's the cool kind of rooftop cocktail bar area. I'm sure it'll be pissing it down, but
yeah, but even it's got the insidey bit as well, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
I forgot about that. We normally have the gig space, but now we've got the full-on upstairs bar. That's incredible.
I know, and I was chatting to my friend Hannah, who runs Baywatch DJs, which is a really cool Leeds-based DJ collective. These two amazing ladies, and they're going to come and just DJ for us at the after party, which is fantastic. I don't think I've even told you that yet, actually.
No, I'm learning this in real time.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
Can I jump in? I forgot to mention something.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention something. The after party is after the event, right?
Yes.
Before the event this year, first time ever.
Yeah.
We've got a workshop, haven't we?
Oh, of course.
Vitaly Friedman is running a workshop, and we've never had one before. So tickets will be going out. Well, by the time this podcast is out, the tickets will be there. But check the site. There's a brand new, never seen before hyperlink which says workshop, and you can go and buy a workshop ticket. Full day with Vitaly Friedman. Yeah, that'll be amazing.
That's gonna be mega, and it's such a cool venue as well, isn't it?
Out of Duke Studios. Yeah. Who I've had a space in their office for their co-working space for 5 years now. Yeah. They've given us or they've worked with us to supply the venue for the workshop. So there's limited heads. I think it's going to be 20, maybe 25 headcount max. So don't wait around for that.
That'd be really cool. And that for us really is just a way to kind of bring more value. Like, we've got Vitaly here. Like, it'd be daft not to try and make the most of it really.
Yeah. So squeeze him for every last drop.
Exactly. Cool. All right. I think that's about it. Is there anything else we've forgotten, or are we good?
I think based on what we wanted to cover, I think we've done all of it. I mean, it's just about time for you to start doing the washing up. So
yeah, I thought
seems to be.
I was worried that was coming. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks very much, Harry, and let's do this.
And I can't wait.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
So that was my chat with Harry Roberts. Together we run All Day Hay together. Tickets are still available for All Day Hay 2020. If you're interested, head to alldayhay.com for tickets and more information. Also, feel free to subscribe to Hay and All Day Hay on the socials. So until next time, thanks for listening and goodbye.